soft. Then we gather our mind to our chest, feeling for any unnecessary tightness. Up to our neck and jaw. Feel the looseness and calmness of the jaw. The tongue resting on the palate of the mouth. Then we gently and slowly bring the mind and awareness to the back of our neck, back of our head, rising to the top or crown of our head, and going down to the forehead, or tension released in smoothness, in calmness. Our facial muscles relaxed. And finally the eyes that see everything are now allowed to rest. Beneath the eyelids, feel for any tightness or knots in the eyes, and gently, calmly, naturally allow the stress to just disappear. And even now, your eyes feel soft and gentle and calm. Allow your body to settle naturally in this wave of calmness. A calmness imbued with strength. Now we bring the mind to the breath. Wherever you feel or sense the breathing, could be the back of the throat or tips of the nostril, or simply the rising and falling of the breath on the chest. And gather our minds to the breath. An awareness of the rising, falling, each intake of breath and each out-breath, releasing any worries or concerns. And just bring that mind, concentration to the breath and relax. And as you hold the mind to the breath, You may find that the mind may drift away to a thought, a memory, a sound. When you are aware of the mind elsewhere, just bring it back to the breath and relax. Now with the breath, imagine that your body is being filled with the breath, a lightness, a calmness. Fills the chest, expanding to the upper part of the body and lower part. So you hold the mind on the breath and the body at the same time, and your awareness begins to expand slightly. And as the breath fills the body, feel a cleansing every cell, a weightlessness, and in the breath is a deep calmness, and awareness of your mind. A mind that can focus on the breath, the body, and the awareness at the same time. A mind in its vividness and awareness can see the smallest blade of grass and an entire landscape of mountains, trees and sky, all at the same time in this calmness and awareness. So we bring the mind to the breath, to your body, to the awareness, your own strength in calmness. and the space around you, now part of your calmness. So we'll bring all images created back to you with an awareness of your body, your mind, and the space around you as one entity. So as you feel your feet on the ground and the sounds outside, when you are ready, you may gently open your eyes. So this week we're going to focus on the perfection of concentration. Now, we all have concentration in our lives. It's essential to function in a job. It's essential to function with family and anything that we do. When you look at driving a car in our leisurely sunny day, how things can change so quickly and sharply if we have a storm. All of a sudden, your concentration is very deep, very acute, and your senses have expanded. That concentration is so natural, so easy to develop within ourselves. The concentration that we will be discussing today is a concentration where you are in control. You're able to use your natural skills that you possess innately and have since you were born into a mode of being, a calmness, a bliss and pliancy of body, where you start to open your Buddha nature in a very profound way and start to see the true nature of reality. So with that, what might be useful right now is to have a recap on what we discussed in the 7 weeks, because this is going to help to bring you to this present moment. And all the Buddha's teachings come into the 4 noble truths. That is that there's true suffering, that there are the true causes of those sufferings. There is a true sensational final part where all the suffering then no longer occurs in our mental continuum, our minds, and there is a true path for that. Now, listening to the word suffering, you say, well, I'm aware of that suffering. I'm aware of not only my own suffering, my mental and physical suffering. I witness the suffering of the people I love in my family, friends, colleagues. And you also witness indirectly the suffering of all beings around the world through the media. And the Buddha taught that there are the 2 causes for those suffering, which is the first 2 dependent links, the core basis, the foundation of that suffering, is that there's an unawareness of the true nature of things, the reality of phenomena. The second is unawareness of the relationship between cause and effect. Now, with some exposure in the Western world, we all know what karma is. The Buddha taught that it's not just the karma in this life, but what brings us into this life is the karma from past lives into this life. So in your journey of spiritual path, you may have a question as to, if I'm following this path, why are things not happening for me? Because in those moments, by following a spiritual path, you're more aware of things that are happening. And the Buddha says that it is the karma from previous life that enters into this life. It is our behavior in this life then actually follows us into the future life. So knowing that even though you're following every possible virtuous action, virtuous mind, you're still having negative karma or things happen. It's just, it's an awareness that it's come from past lives. That's why we have children sometimes who immediately get distressed when they see harm, animals being killed. It's the bodhicitta, it's their personality that's come into this life. So knowing that, what the Buddha taught is that in this life where we can, we purify that negative karma. And we did a mantra a couple of weeks ago where we called a purification mantra. And by saying the mantra, it causes vibrations and deep regret for things that you have no memory about that are actually occurring in this lifetime. And all Buddhists practice purification and they generate merit. Because when you see clearly the things that cause karma in the past lives and this life, it is our self-grasping nature. We see ourselves as rigid, independent, separate from other people, from other objects, and we take a lot of pride in what we achieve in our lives. And in fact, if you listen to some of the motivational programs, they say, you can do anything. Or people in the TEDx sort of YouTube speeches, they say that I did this and I pursued this and I did that. But in reality, you can't do it on your own. The Buddha attained enlightenment through every sentient being. It was because that awareness of every sentient being and changing that behavior that actually caused the Buddha to attain enlightenment. We do not exist today simply on our own. We need people. We are dependent on people for our food. We are dependent on our parents who made us. We're depending on teachers, professors, people that interview us for jobs, people that make the cars, people that grow the food that we eat. We need people to feel valued. You know, we need people, no one can live without love. And we need people to be able to value us and love us, to be healthy individuals in this lifetime. And it's that understanding that we don't exist on our own that's the causes of our suffering. And by grasping it ourselves, we've just learnt from a very young age that every time we want something, we get it. As a baby, when you're hungry, you cry and you're fed. Then you go to school and the reality hits you that you're one of many people and you've got to fit into the regulations there. But we still have this innate primal behavior that protects us. Like if we see a spider, we jump, it's like, oh, like this. And a lot of people do that because of the conditioning that we've had, life after life after life, rebirth after rebirth after rebirth. And the Buddha calls it self-cherishing. But in itself, that word may indicate that you're doing something really bad, that you should be shunned. But it's not that. It's the conditioning of thinking of ourselves all the time, being the center of the universe, being the center of your attention, because you are in this world amongst 7 billion people. But what the Buddha is saying is that, yes, that does happen, but you need to survive. But there's another way to be in this world, and that is to extend out beyond yourself. And I'd say that many of you are doing it right now, where you start to think of others and little things that somebody drops something, running after them and giving it to them. So your awareness is starting to expand. When we self-grasp, when we focus on ourselves, our energy, which we experience in the first meditation, where the expansiveness energy contracts in here. it becomes solid and rigid. And when we have feelings, someone's hurt us, we have this rigidity about us. Hurt is, there's no exclusive rights to people being hurt. Everyone gets hurt. So, but when we're aware of that we're grasping, it is the actual grasping that actually makes the pain even deeper. So, in that moment, the Buddha taught us, and our teachers have taught us, to breathe through it. Just breathe through it and expand that energy outward again, because a larger component of your energy actually can contain pain and hurt better than having a constricted part of it. You see this in hospital where people experience such pain and they can't be given pain relief because they'll form too much pain relief, because they'll form a dependency on that drug. So at times we're called in to give the patients some sort of respite without the use of drugs, and we do our best to provide them with a peaceful and calm meditation, and do it in such a way that it takes away their focus from the pain into a different level where they're on the breath and the breath fills their body. The meditation we did before is the type of meditation that we use in the hospital system where appropriate to help the person deal with pain, because it takes that mind away from the narrative of I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, to just that spaciousness of the body and feeling the air going through the body. And hospitals, people do meditation in supine position, which is flat, because people who've had spinal surgery, for example, can't get up and be in the Vajra position or sit down. So they're the elements of saying some of the things that the Buddha taught that actually does help us to deal with the pain in this world that occurs. Seeing things or not knowing the relationship between cause and effect is another aspect to this Western world that is gaining ground and changing people's mode of thinking and their frame of thinking and their conditioning. Because knowing that we've had many past lives, knowing that there've been incredibly positive karma generated in those past lives, and also negative karma, it gives us sort of an empowerment to say, okay, now I know why these things are happening to me. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it why sometimes the world is starting to make sense, why this person is so rich and wealthy but so mean in their way of transacting business. They exploit people. They're making millions and millions, but at what cost? That millions and millions could be from generosity in a past life. But in this life, it's manifested into wealth. But that wealth will slowly cease. They'll use up all the money, all the good merit that they've made in this life, and they'll empty the kitty, so to speak. In an accountant balance sheet, you're using all your expenses far outweigh your profits and income coming in, and then you're in receivership. So the Buddha says that whatever we've generated, that is virtuous, we can maintain that. And a person who's very wealthy in this life and meets the Buddha Dharma will know that wealth has come from previous lives. And if they've studied the Buddha and Bodhicitta in past lives, they would have secured that wealth in the next life. So we're taught in the Buddhist teachings that by generating a mind of enlightenment, by generating bodhicitta, we're able to have a strength and power that can pass from this life to the next life to the next life. So the practices that we do in this life is first of all to embrace the fact that we have been born as a precious human, that we've got leisure and fortune, and that was not by any means an accident. It's the work that you've all done in past lives. And hats off to you for being here today, and hats off to you for being born a human. And it's utilising and embracing that very life that's able to think clearly and able to make logical decisions and analyse things that you're doing and embrace a spiritual path that helps you in future lives, but not just you, others in the process. So from being focused on yourself, your awareness starts to expand about other people, places, sentient beings, and unknowingly your mind and your subconscious or your consciousness starts to expand to a level where your sensitivity is very acute to the needs of people. And a Buddha can be anywhere in this room. Are you a Buddha? Are you back there a Buddha? Are you a Buddha? We don't know, because when you attain enlightenment, perfect enlightenment, become a Buddha, you still look the same. You still eat the same cake. You still have the same cappuccino from the same bar. You still drive the car. And this is the mystery and also the intrigue of Buddhism, that we all can attain enlightenment. We hear too many people saying, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that. Who says that you can't? It depends on your motivation within your own heart to attain Buddhahood, because you have this shift from me to we. And we spoke last week about the Tibetans, how they were grown in the culture where they see all sentient beings as mothers. And when you embrace that view, that everyone has been our mother in previous lifetimes, by reason and logic that we have been reborn, something changes in you. You no longer can harm people. If seeing mother sentient beings is a difficult concept, no problem. Look at people that you may have difficulty communicating with, that you can think, well, even though they're being not so kind at the moment, that person loved me in a past life. Yep. And they did everything for me. And it's a kind of a giggle. So, well, now look at how they're treating me. But it empowers you, because you no longer are under the control of a phenomena that's happening around you, particularly people, and it's relationships that give us the most pain and the most happiness. And it's starting from there, starting from some point where you feel the most, where that intensity of emotion is, start there in whatever you do. Work, home, driving cars, painting, building, doing business. Where is your concentration? Where is the part where you find meaning and purpose in life? Bring it there. And then you start to see how you are, the self-reflection, the people around you. Because sometimes thinking about 7 billion people is a big ask. So we start small steps and build our spiritual path that way. And just when you think that you've achieved one massive step forward, another one will come. And it becomes a bit of a game, because it will come. You've managed to interact very peacefully with a particular person in a way that they no longer control you. And I'll talk about controlling in a moment, and you've got this peace and expansiveness. You're now free to think that the way you want to do. You can actually be creative. You can invest in new initiatives. You can now have spare time to do what you wanted to do, play a piano, go out and jog, or meditate. And control is interesting, because when somebody's not very virtuous towards you, what you're not aware of is that you are reacting to that. So in effect, you're being controlled by that, and no one likes to be controlled. So in the Buddhist teachings, is this awareness. When we meditate, we're building merit, we're purifying past karma, and our mind becomes clear. So consider somebody who's controlled by another person. The first level, before your mind is clear, is that you don't know that you're being controlled. The second level, when the mind becomes clear, you're aware that you're being controlled. Aha, now I see it, but I can't yet break away. Now I'm aware that I'm being controlled because this person pulls the strings or presses the buttons, and then I react all the time. So this is where the meditation, the calming of mind, or even reflecting on our past lives. All the logic and reason about this person loved us in the past, this person was our mother in the past, the down or disadvantages of anger, the benefits of happiness and peace and patience, all that comes together in sometimes one moment. And in that you have a breath, like a space. And then through further meditation, and it is through further meditation, just reflecting in that moment, then you may say, okay, now I don't want to be controlled by that person anymore. That's the second, probably a third level awareness, but not knowing how not to be controlled. You do further meditations, you further generate merit, you reduce negative karma, and then your mind becomes clearer. Then you have the courage and the power to no longer be controlled by that person. Through your own inner strength, through your own awareness, the spaciousness of mind, and all the Buddha's teachings in the one. And it could be through the help of friends as well. So there's from not knowing you're being controlled to aware that you're being controlled, then empowering yourself by not allowing yourself to be controlled. And we're not talking about like a family violence situation here where a lot of help is brought in. We're talking about you as a person in this wonderful world where you're doing your bit to make everyone happy, to put your happiness into this world here. And sometimes it's that happiness that brings people to the Dharma, the Buddha Dharma and the Buddha's teachings. And he teaches things like generosity is just an amazing way to help people. There are some people that don't even know generosity. They're making money, but they're not giving any of that money away to anyone. So the Buddha taught the 6 perfections of generosity, ethics, patience, joyous effort, concentration, and wisdom. So the generosity is giving small gifts like feeding birds in the backyard, maybe not instead of throwing away that little bit of bread, giving it to the bird, or even if you're lucky, giving it to a magpie who can come close to you. Making people tea and coffee, maybe GoFundMe page and putting some money in there, or just somebody in the queue that seems to be in a hurry, letting them go first. Someone's collecting money, like on Anzac Day, putting money in the tin. It just starts in very small methods and way, because you may be earning a very good income, but you need to keep supplementing that income, because as your karma for being rich starts to diminish, you also have to build the karma for wealth enrichment at the same time for future lives. So giving is a good way to start that giving, and giving gives you a very peaceful mind and such a tremendous satisfaction when you really help somebody in a way. Like it's just incredible. There was a story recently where a person's property in Doncaster was sold for $7 million. No way did they believe that amount. They hit the news because it was only worth about $2 million. But somebody wanted that property very badly, and it wasn't the house, it was just the location. So they paid $7 million. I read that person who received the $7 million donated $1 million of those dollars to an agency called Homeground Insurance that deals and helps with low low rental homes for the people that can't afford them. So that's just one way to see that the seeds of that $1 million will grow and grow and grow. That will not only benefit this person in this lifetime, but benefit them in future lives. But what if you don't have any money? What if you don't, you just got barely enough for yourself? Well, you can give with your mind, with kindness. Just saying a kind word. There's a person living in Sydney he no longer is alive, but he lived in Sydney. He's called the Angel of the Gap. Don Ritchie was his name. And Don Ritchie lived, it's a place in Sydney where it's renowned for people committing suicide. It's a huge gap and they just fall. And he didn't live far away from that, but he had this motivation, this pain that did not want people to kill themselves there. So every night, without fail, he'd be out there in the shadows, just waiting. And nearly every night, there was somebody there on their own, just walking towards the edge. And he would quietly, gently, unobtrusively connect with them and talk. And overall, he saved 160 lives from, and can you imagine his next life, his next rebirth would be absolutely amazing. But he left us with a statement to say, and I'll read it because I don't want to remove any of his good work and quote him exactly as he said, if I can find it. So just give me a moment. He said that don't underestimate the incredible power of a simple smile and kind word. And that's a very profound person. And if that isn't somebody with a very kind heart, and even what we call a bodhisattva, somebody that focuses on the people there, I think that's an amazing thing to do. So you can also be kind to people through your actions. You can also dedicate merit that through your practice to them. The people in your lives, like your parents and siblings and others that you may not be aware of, you may have this very strong karmic connection with. And it's also, it's common that sometimes a parent that prays for a child who's not well, because of that karmic connection, that strong sense, they actually can help that child. So, but you don't know who you've got that strong karmic connection with. It could be somebody in the opposite side of the world who's sleeping right now because it's nighttime. So helping with prayers and helping with just what we discussed before, giving and taking, giving all this positive energy out to them, like sometimes we can't use, in workplaces, we can't use religion. It's not just part of that culture, but we can say to them, even to an atheist, I say to atheists, I'll be thinking of you, and they say thank you, rather than say I'm praying for you, but they always accept somebody thinking good things for them. So even if it's not about wealth or money or time, even just by praying for somebody, seeing them healthy and good and happy, sending out this positive energy from your heart to them and taking back all their suffering in your heart like a rock and breaking it. So that was a giving and taking meditations we did I think last week, where we just give that light and energy and healing power, whatever your mind and heart can imagine at that moment that person needs, giving it out to them and then drawing in their suffering as black smoke, coming into your heart, because now you have a courageous heart, your unbreakable heart. So you bring their suffering in, and Tsongkhapa taught us this, where you bring in that blackness, but it crushes the rock of self-cherishing within our hearts. And you change. Moment by moment, you change. Just thinking this way. And you may think, well, I've got a lot to do. Yes, we all, there's a lot of things that need to be done on this earth right now. A lot of the things we need to do, family and friends and businesses. But it's a different state of being. From this rigidity of self, you have this expansiveness of self. And some of the meditations we do are about that awareness of mind, on how capable it is in a different state of calmness and strength, where you can remember things very, very, very quickly, spontaneously, yet in that calmness. Because as we spoke in previous weeks, the scientists now are catching up to Buddhist meditation, or meditation in general, because of the generosity of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, where he's inviting scientists to do experiments or tests on monks. And these monks are allowing their brains to be fitted with these systems in MRI to see the brainwave activity. And as we mentioned, they now have evidence to say that when we keep bringing the mind back to the breathing or to an object, it develops the prefrontal cortex just here, which has the executive function of thinking, concentration, emotional control, all here, able to bring in information. Memory also increases. And it's found that the amygdala, which is back there, that's the prefrontal cortex here, the amygdala is in here. And the amygdala is the one that has all the anxiety and stress and so forth. And by having the prefrontal cortex, the cells increase. It's almost like a body mass. It increases, but the cells increase. We don't feel it, and it certainly wouldn't burst out of our skull, but it's actually becoming stronger in all the cells, that if there's an emotion that comes out, then the prefrontal cortex will think about that before the emotion's expressed. So that's evidence that the meditation is actually helping us in our being. So it also shows that moment by moment, frame by frame, we change. One of the things that we did is took an oath never to have too detailed a briefing from one manager to another. That is, that one manager who's leaving a particular position will spend time with debriefing or briefing the other manager. But when they get to people and behaviours and so forth, the self-fulfilling prophecy, which is a business tool that we use, is that you don't listen to the past manager's view of this employee, because you're tainting and labelling them. And everybody changes. So who we were 10 years ago is different to what we are today. So that's why new managers can be so good for employees, because they're coming with a fresh, open mind. Unless, of course, somebody's labelled somebody in their ears and it's in their mind, or be careful about this one, they do that. And sometimes you know yourself with people that you work with. Some people you can't communicate with, but others you can, and you just bloom under their leadership. That's karma again. In a past life, you may have had some difficulty in that. So everyone changes moment by moment. If you were mean and if you were angry, or you're not that person. You're not somebody who's going to be miserable all your life. You can change, and this is the essence of the Buddha's teachings. You are not rigid. You are not set in your path. You change moment by moment. You can become a Buddha. You can help people. It's just awareness of the path of how you do that. And the willingness to let go of certain things, of saying, well, I am, I'm this and I'm that. It's just being in the moment and tapping into your Buddha potential, because that is the seed of greatness. That is the seed of Buddhahood, to know that within us right now, no matter what you did a minute ago, no matter what you did, swore at the driver here, or no matter how you behave, that Buddha potential is here. It will never go away, no matter what you do. So you can try, it's there. The thing is, it's the awareness of the fluidity of our emotions that keep passing. Like when we concentrate, our thoughts will come in, and they might have a juicy thought, and then your mind goes there. Because the mind does what it's told all the time. It just likes to be distracted. So when we're meditating, every one of us has the feeling or the experience where you're bringing your mind to a point, and then it gets distracted by this thought. I think someone mentioned that some of the rooms that we do meditations in with medical staff, they have a PA system in there. And the PA system tells you if there's something going on and you need to know. So invariably, I say 50% of the times when we're meditating, the PA, there's a attention all staff announcement. But we use that so well now in the meditation session that the medical staff will see, aware that the mind just goes to that sound. So because it's life or death, it's a natural thing to do. But the beauty of it is bringing it back to where you were right now. And this is the perfection of concentration. It is, no matter what is happening in the world around you, you can step by step complete tasks in a calm mind. Mistakes happen because when we concentrate on something and we're not yet skilled at bringing the mind back to that noise back here again, we can forget. A form of amnesia happens. And in hospital now, you may see that 2 nurses are required, male or female, both, to administer medication, particular pain relief. So the one comes up with the medication. They have to go to the medications room, which is under lock and key. They come out, they do the identity check, they scan the wristband, so it's on the system, and then they confirm that the medication is given to the patient. And they go back and the scanner updates the system as well, so there are no mistakes. And that's just the beauty of technology helping us, all the good group karma we've got to be able to go into a hospital where the number of mistakes are consistently being reduced. But prior to that, where they had to do it all on their own, sometimes they may have forgotten. They may not have done the checks. And so you know what the consequences are with mistakes, not just in the hospital system, but otherwise. Because when you're going from A to step 1, to step 2, to step 3, to step 4, and somebody says, hey, Joe, you got a minute? You can forget that. Then you lose that concentration and continuity. So in what we do in life right now, with the Buddhist teachings, we know that what we experience is a result of karma. We know that we can purify that karma and build valuable merit to help us in this life. We can practice generosity, ethics, joyous effort, concentration. The ethics is very important because the ethics tells us how we behave in this world. The ethics are like a protection, are our clothes around us. They shield us from harming others. There is no other reason of ethics but to reduce us and refrain us from harming others. And so I'll memorize some of the ethics, but there's 5 in total, which is of body, speech, and mind. There's no killing whatsoever. I often say that if you accidentally kill, that's something different. And we all stepped on snails, and we just regret that. We know that in order to complete a negative karma, you have to have intention, the action, and the satisfaction that you've actually completed. Like if you wanted to hurt somebody, you have the intention to hurt somebody, you say something either through your speech or you hit them, and you feel happy that you've done it, satisfaction. That's a complete karma. If you have regret that night or immediately after, it's not a complete karma, and you can purify that. So in terms of the ethics, a lot of the monks take their vows, same with nuns, but there are also layperson's vows, which we take. And it's the core fundamental part of being a Buddhist. So I often say that if you kill, you're not a Buddhist. So no killing at all. So that means if you've got little insects running around, or you've potentially got ants, well, then you change your method behaviour. I've learned here that you use talcum powder on the entry points, and that tends to help reduce the number of ants that come into your property. So no killing, no stealing anyone's property at all. And that is even in if you to the real detail, if you've got a pen at work and you take it home by accident, just bring it back the next day. Not taking anything from work. So no stealing, no killing, no stealing, no lying. And lying is a big one because you're brought up in telling white lies or not telling everyone the total truth because you don't want to hurt them, or presenting to stakeholders or your certain information so you can get this wonderful picture of what you're trying to get them to buy or invest in. It's telling the truth all the time. There's that's the business side of things, but we're talking about relationship now, person to person. Don't tell lies. The only time the Buddha says you can tell, perhaps that you're allowed to tell a lie would be to save a person's life. As in, like, if hunters are looking for a deer and you know the deer's gone this way, you will tell them it's okay to tell them they're gone that way. So that to save a life. No sexual misconduct. And that is, you don't have to be married. It's even if flirting with somebody else's partner. Because it's the seed of that can grow into a sexual misconduct. And that means, like, as the Christians would say, like committing adultery. But this is even, sexual misconduct is really a pure motivation of not harming anyone as well. And that includes the unspeakable things that happen. And finally, I'm just trying to remember, no intoxications. Now, not all Buddhists do that. They have the glass of wine. But what that meant is the principle of the fifth precept or the fifth vow is because the Buddha realized how damaging it is when you're drunk, because you do things all the time and you have no control. We see that in society. So that's the reason why that was put in. And there are some Buddhists that follow the four precepts, but it is about your motivation, remember. You know, like there are some rituals where you drink a bit of wine, and with COVID now you can't, you know, the passing of the wine glass. So it is a lot of thinking in terms of where are you at? What is your motivation? Even if you've done harm to people, where do you want to be from here? Milarepa is a saint, a very famous yogi that killed people in his lifetime. He harmed, he unimaginable things to people, but yet he became a Buddha. He became enlightened through constant purification. Something shifted in him and he realized what he'd done was wrong. And it's that awareness, moment by moment, you're constantly changing. You discover one thing, then you'll find another, and things will grow, and you will find this spacious awareness of where you're at. They say that whatever you put your mind to is where the growth will occur. There are times when you need to focus on other things. Well, look at it from this perspective, what the Buddha taught. You say, okay, I can't focus on a spiritual path right now. Well, I am actually, because everything that I'm doing, if I really want to do A, but I have to focus on B, okay, I'll focus on B with patience. So see the good in what you do. There's not, we've all been taught to look at the bad things. Where's the goodness in you? Where's the goodness in the people around you? Look for that. Not everything you do you have to beat yourself up for. Even hurting someone, then realizing later that you've hurt them is an incredibly virtuous moment because you've recognized it. So you dedicate that awareness of what just had happened into your spiritual path and say, may I attain enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings. And this is where that awareness now emerges in bodhicitta, that shift that focuses from yourself to others. hence bodhicitta. So bodhicitta is for the sake of others wishing to attain perfect enlightenment. So the first boxcar of your train is for sentient beings and uppermost mind. So anything that you have to do, that you may not love doing, recognize that as a gift. Now you're doing it. Now it makes sense. Now I'm doing this so I can become enlightened for the benefit of sentient beings. It's no amount of reading and logic can help you unless you embrace it in your heart. Yes, reading about it is incredibly important because you start to see the components of it. But it gives you that meaning and purpose in life as well. So that's the bodhicitta motivation, which embraces everything that we do. So what about calm abiding? Just look at the time. The calm abiding side of it is a special pliancy, and I'll describe it as best as I can. When you meditate, you feel that there's a shift in your body. Like right now, all my neural activity, I've got this, my neurons are just firing, dendrites are firing because I'm speaking, I'm using my voice, I'm using my visual ability, I'm tracking things, I'm using my mind to remember certain aspects that need to be remembered. I'm also sitting, I'm moving, and my whole body, if you look at like electricity, it's moving pretty fast, and I'm using a lot of energy here at the moment to be present here today. Calm abiding looks at all that, understands it, and changes that focus where I may be a little bit rigid at the moment in terms of my movements, but in calm abiding, I'm totally pliant. It's a pliancy where the more that you become familiar with just resting the mind, the more pliant the body becomes. So as you're resting and you're focusing the mind on a single object, you can start to feel the body relaxing. Like even now, I can feel, sense, the tactile, even with my mind, that the body is relaxing. And when you bring the mind to one point, could be the breathing, the body starts to respond. So does the mind. The mind probably thinks, oh, thank goodness, I'm getting some rest. But the mind is relaxing too. And all this firing of the dendrites in my brain are now still there, but they're not firing as quickly. And even my breathing has changed. My body is now starting to relax. I feel heavier. My eyes want to go focus downwards. And even my breathing changes, using me as an example. So with the calm abiding, it does require a degree of experience or X amount of hours or days that you do meditation, but it's not impossible because your body has a natural, innate method of responding to this calmness. Just look at sleep. When you finally sleep, you sleep and the body's re-energized. With calm abiding, it's a special pliancy where you're able to concentrate on an object for as long as you want to. And the calm abiding allows us to move in this world with such grace, such flow and peace that whatever is occurring outside does not affect the inside. And this precision people think that calm abiding, you get a little bit loppy or dull. It actually brightens your awareness of things around you. You see so clearly, like the smallest, and this is just pure imagination, the smallest bit of paint on that red door behind me to the entire room here right now, and the sense of what's behind me. And that's the calmness. So in calm abiding, to have an understanding of our true nature of reality, which people call dependent arising, it requires a mind that is calm, to be pliant, where just like a camera, it can now focus on phenomena, because you kind of don't get in the way. There's this mind, the I gets in the way of a lot of things. So the I kind of slowly disappears somewhere. You're still here, you can still feel yourself, but this mind is now what you are able to become aware of, what you're present to. That ability to focus. Like I can see that light and that camera there. The ability to focus on that light in such a method, such a calm way, no narrative in the voices, the presence, and your body benefits enormously from being in this state. Then the veils of life, the veils of phenomena, the veils of our true nature start to lift slowly, slowly. And we see the world differently. You start to have an insight into the true nature of reality, dependent arisings, the things, our clear nature, our Buddha nature. And for those who've attained that, their description is very limited, because most who do attain it don't speak of it. But for those, and we're grateful for, that do speak of it, when you see the nature of reality in its truest sense with calm abiding and wisdom, you're looking, holding the concentration, this calmness, but not with stress, not with tension. Then the nature of reality comes to meet you. You see your own face, and things around you are like they're translucent. You're still engaging. You're not gone off this planet or on Mars somewhere. You're still here, but you see everything in a clear light, like it's translucent. And there's this incredible method, this freedom that occurs. And your awareness of what that person needs or this group needs is just inexpressible. So now your state is being present, and every action of body, speech, and mind benefits others. If you think that type of mind is something that you'd like to attain, then it sure is, in terms of what you can do for others in your life. And we've all got situations where we've tried from our depths of our resources to help somebody, but they haven't changed. Wisdom tells us sometimes you have to let that karma ripen. It's so strong. And I often say, I heard our teacher, Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, tell a very sick girl to be patient with her disease, because strong karma this lifetime. And sometimes that wisdom is to just be with them as they are suffering. And your being with them as they suffer can be a kindness, a seed of kindness for them, because no one likes to see people suffering. I work in, at times, palliative care. I know how distressed families are. They can't see their loved ones suffering. So sometimes, not all the time, They're either running around asking doctors and nurses to give them more pain relief, or they just disappear. And that's really sad. And that calmness, that direct perception of a true nature of reality, won't just home in on that little one thing. You are able to freely and purely give that person love, hold their hand, be with them, just continuously give them love, ease their pain, allow them to relax, read stories. If they're Christian, read stories about Jesus. If they're Buddhist, read stories, just remind them of the Buddha. Calm them, play music, just be with them. It's the greatest gift you can give another human being, just being present with their pain. Because that pain is impermanent. Everything about us is impermanent. I often think, why does the Buddha smile when there's so much suffering in this world? Because they can see the nature of things, the impermanency. And the Buddha's teachings are ever out there to those who meditate, to those who are on that spiritual path. You hear the Buddha's teachings are everywhere. They're coming, but we don't engage with it. They're constantly in our hearts. Just listening, being present and guided. So that when the person's suffering, it's a knowing that their suffering's not going to last forever. They'll be cured in some way or another. Or you put all your effort into praying for their higher rebirth. So you keep that connection with them. And that is such freedom and happiness, just to be. Because sometimes taking on the burden of others, people that you dearly love and they're just going on the wrong path, you bring them back in. And people in prison, even in prisons, who are on death row, and they even get a chance because the Buddhist nuns and monks are going to prisons. We've got prison chaplains here in Victoria. Robina Corton goes to prisons and teaches prisoners how to meditate. The same with prisoners here in Victoria. No matter what crime that they've done, they've taught them to purify that karma. They know that whatever time they've got left, they may not be able to purify everything, but they'll give it their best shot. And the monks and nuns will help them. And there's a story of a prisoner on death row in US of A back in 2010. And the nuns were doing a lot of work with prisons at the time. And it's not easy, knowing some prison chaplains. It takes a lot of patience and perseverance and dedication until the prisoners trust you. Because you're entering into a system that are rules that we have no awareness of, the rules that occur there. But there was this one prisoner who had it was on death row, waiting for his execution. And a lot of people tried very hard to stop that execution. But he was being visited and written letters to by Buddhist nuns who were teaching him the Dharma, even from a distance. Such was his level of desperation in wanting to make things better, because it was at the 11th hour he realized all the wrong that he did. And the 11th hour, with 1 hour left, may not be enough time. But he, with the help of the Buddhist nuns, knew things about the Dharma that were just amazing. So they spent at least 2 years with him. But he wrote his last letter, and his last letter is just an extract. It says, "Wow, karma is tough, but the good side can outweigh that. It is up to me. I'd wish I'd seen this 40 years ago. I pray I'll be able to keep a clear, peaceful mind and just let go at the time of death. I keep telling myself that I've lived out this negative karma, and to see death as a new start and a chance to do it all the right way this next time. I pray I'll be able to do much good for the Dharma and for others in my next life. That was the last letter he wrote before his execution in 2010. He also recited Om Mani Padme Hum as he was given the lethal injection that killed him. So if a prisoner, which is a captive, I know it's a captive audience, but if there's a prisoner can do it, we can. And no doubt the nuns were praying for his higher rebirth at the time in ways that would help him. And, you know, that story, it's on a website that you could read it from the monastery of nuns that actually went and helped him. He wrote a very long letter, but his understanding of the Dharma and the seeds that he's created for the next life was just very impressive indeed. So it's got 15 minutes to go. What we'll do is we'll do a brief meditation and to finish off, and we'll give you a meditation on the calm abiding. Remember, the body will resist in when you're starting to meditate. It can be on the cushion or a chair. I said, in hospital, it's vertical. It's horizontal. So the body will blend into whatever position that you wish to take. Just give it a chance to get in. Give it a chance for the energies to flow gently around and move from this rigidity to this flow and pliancy as well. Okay, it's interesting. I spent an inordinate amount of time writing notes, but you go with the flow. So these notes will come in handy in the future, I suspect. So we'll finish with also a dedication to our guru, which is my guru, Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, at the end of it as well, who wrote this incredible book. But this just shows you sometimes when you study and study, that the rigidity of the study, if you allow it to happen in anything, like I see it in specialists, that the way I don't see the surgery, but just their ability to do the surgery, it's all this skill coming in at that one moment, coming in. And the miracle work that they do in neurology, where patients have had strokes or otherwise, you know, just the work that they do and their level of, it's just completely admirable in what they do. But it does take effort to achieve whatever skill that you wish to do. You know, whether it's a healer, whether you're doing Reiki or doing any sort of physiotherapy, that you're helping people, that the ability, all that work that you put in and your sincere motivation to truly help people just blossoms and you can help them. There's a Feldenkrais practitioner. He also was he was a black belter as well. He was doing physio for people, but mainly Feldenkrais, which is a particular method of using fine motor skills, fine motor movements to help movements in otherwise limbs that can't move and so forth, or just getting your body to be pliant. And he said that he could tell the moment somebody walked into his room what they needed. And that's always been in there as well. So it's a journey for all of us on the spiritual path. We're all going to get there. Don't give up on whatever you do. Don't feel that you're not good enough, that you haven't got time. That just brush that away from you. You can do it. Dedication. You can, with what you want, whatever you want to do, you can do it. You're on a spiritual path, keeping the spiritual path, you can do it. You really can. You've got the seeds inside you, the motivation, the Buddha's blessings are always with us. And you can. So find yourself in a comfortable position where your back is straight for the final meditation of this this day, this session, allow your body to fall in its natural position. Feel the weight going down. Feel your movement in you, just calming. Your eyes are soft. The body is becoming pliant and calm. Breathing is changed. You feel a weightlessness, a lightness. You feel the breath. Gather the mind to the breath. And if thoughts flow into your space of mind, allow them to fly away, undisturbing your mind. And with the Buddha's blessings now, everyone, you feel the Buddha nature within. You feel the orb of the light expand within your body. Feel the light now, sense the light going outward from your body into an orb around you. And every limb is with you in your body. You're not going to lose your identity or your body right now. Just feel that light now absorb every cell in your body. You feel that your body now merges within the light, the orb around you. Softness, transparency, your clear light. Keep the mind without movement on the clear light, transparent nature of phenomena. Feel every cell merge with the light, the clear light. And with your mind, imagine phenomena around you, people, as translucent. Even sounds emanating from these translucent beings. Just disappear in the space around them. Now intensify your focus on the light, the clear light. Feel its vividness. See its vividness. Phenomena are like images, clear, pure, unpolluted, yet definitely arising from causes and conditions. As a Vajrasattva is seen in the mirror as clear, pure and unpolluted, all Buddhas as one's own sons and daughters enter your heart. Natureless and non-abiding, you should see all phenomena like this. From the unequal deeds benefiting all sentient beings, the sons and daughters of Buddhas are born. So now take that image, bring it into your heart. So when you're ready, you may gently open your eyes. I'd like to make the final dedication to our teacher. Brought it here. This is from the Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, who wrote this book. Due to these virtues, may all living beings attain states of leisure and fortune and meet the victor's holy Dharma. May love, compassion, supreme bodhicitta and right view be generated in their minds. In short, in this and all other lifetimes, May we be led by Mahayana spiritual teachers and be taught the unmistaken, profound and extensive paths. May we instantly attain supreme enlightenment. With the blessings of the Buddhas of the 3 times and 10 directions, and the Bodhisattvas benefiting living beings, and by the power of the heroes, dakinis and Dharma protectors, may all our wishes instantly be fulfilled. The vast and profound teachings is very difficult to comprehend, but for the benefit of myself and others, and as repayment for the cost of food and clothing consumed during this human existence, I have compiled or composed this text with pure thought. So thank you, everyone. Did anyone have questions? If not, we can have tea out there. All right. We're on time. Oh, so any online questions, Marty? Sorry, I beg your pardon. No. No. That's a wrap, everyone. Thank you for your time. I might just put my mask on and clean this.